Hey, real quick, I need you to stop whatever you're doing right now and actually think about this one question. When was the last time you woke up and felt genuinely good? Not just okay, not just I survived another day, but actually alive, energized, like your body was working with you, not against you. Go ahead, think about it. If that took you more than a few seconds to remember, you need to hear everything I'm about to say, because something is going wrong, and you might not even know it yet. Here's the thing that shook me to my core when I first started digging through the data years ago. The average American man dies almost 6 years before the average American woman. 6 years. People hear that and they kind of nod and move on, but let that actually land for a second. 6 years. That's time with your grandkids. That's a retirement you saved your whole life for. That's slow mornings with the people who matter most to you. Gone, quietly, without warning. And almost everybody assumes they know why. Oh, men take risks. Men drive too fast. Men don't go to the doctor. Sure, some of that is true, but the real stuff, the stuff that's actually cutting years off men's lives, it's not dramatic. It's not one big event. It's completely ordinary. It's the stuff you do every single day without even thinking about it. I've spent years studying this, and the more I looked at the research, the more it scared me. Not because the findings were rare or complicated, because they were so normal, so invisible, so easy to miss. So today, I want to walk you through 5 specific habits that are genuinely, measurably taking years off men's lives, and I need you to stay with me all the way through, because number 1 is going to hit different. Most people assume it's something obvious, like drinking, but alcohol doesn't even crack the top 3. Before we get into it, if you've been on this channel before, you know what I'm about. This isn't a hype thing. This is real. Hit like if you want more content like this, subscribe so you don't miss what's coming, and drop a comment down below. I actually read those, every single one. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with number 5, and before you roll your eyes and think you already know where this is going, stay with me, because the way most men drink is not what you think it is. Alcohol, number 5. Now I know what you're thinking. Of course alcohol's on the list, but the real danger isn't what you've been told. It's not about whether you drink, it's about how men drink, and that distinction matters enormously. The CDC has data on this. On average, alcohol takes somewhere between 2 and 3 years off a man's life. And when you hear that number, it almost sounds manageable, right? 2 or 3 years, I can probably live with that trade-off. But that's the average, and averages are liars. Here's what the averages don't show you. The man who drinks 3, 4, 5 drinks on a Friday night after a brutal week at work. The guy who white-knuckles through the week and then lets loose on the weekend. Socially, that looks totally fine. Biologically, that pattern can take 10, 15, even 20 years off your life. Not 2, 20. And here's the part most men genuinely don't understand. This is something called hepatotoxicity, which is basically just a fancy word for liver damage caused by substances. Your liver can process roughly 1 drink per hour. That's its ceiling. You push past that, and liver cells start breaking down faster than they can rebuild themselves. Inflammation kicks in. Fat starts building up in places it absolutely should not be, and the damage compounds over time in ways you can't see or feel right away. After 40, I see this pattern constantly. The liver's regenerative capacity, its ability to heal itself, slows down dramatically. The same amount of alcohol that your body handled without much trouble in your 20s can do 2, sometimes 3 times the damage at 55. It's the same quantity producing a completely different level of harm. And alcohol doesn't stop at the liver. This is the part men never connect. It wrecks your sleep architecture, the actual structure of how you sleep. It pushes blood pressure up. It tanks your testosterone. It increases anxiety through something called rebound cortisol, where your stress hormones spike back up after the alcohol wears off, and it drives systemic inflammation throughout the entire body. Most guys just feel off, a little foggy, a little slow, a little less like themselves, and they can't figure out why. The fix isn't perfection. I'm not telling you to never drink again. The fix is awareness. Build in 2 alcohol-free days every single week. Drink slower, drink less in a single sitting. Let your liver actually recover. Small, steady changes over time. That's it. Alcohol is sneaky. It disguises its damage behind laughter and good times and one more for the road. But that's only number 5. What's coming next is significantly more dangerous. Number 4, chronic stress. I need you to really hear this one, because this might be the most underestimated thing on this entire list. There's a psychological concept called allostatic load. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. It means the total wear and tear on your body caused by stress over a long period of time. Think of it like this. Your body can handle pressure. It's designed to. But when the pressure never stops, when there's no release, no reset, no relief, the system starts to break down from the inside. A long-running study out of Harvard tracked men over decades. Men living under chronic, ongoing stress lost 4 or more years off their lives on average. 4 years. And that number doesn't even capture the quality of those years. How much of your life are you living if you're grinding all day, every day, just to survive it? Here's what stress does at the biological level. Your body releases a hormone called cortisol. Short bursts of cortisol are good. They help you respond to danger. They sharpen your focus. But when cortisol is elevated all the time, which is what happens with chronic stress, it starts doing real damage. It suppresses your immune function. It constricts blood vessels. It puts constant pressure on your heart. It dysregulates blood sugar. It destroys sleep quality. And it sets the stage for chronic disease down the line. I use this image with people I talk to. Imagine your body is a high-performance machine. Chronic stress is running that machine without any coolant in it. Everything still runs. Nothing breaks down immediately. But inside, the parts are grinding against each other constantly. And eventually, something gives. The cultural problem that makes this so much worse for men specifically is something psychologists call emotional suppression. The idea that real strength means staying quiet, grinding through, not complaining, bottling it all up and figuring it out alone. And men have been told this so long that most of us don't even question it anymore. The result is slow, invisible deterioration, not a breakdown, not a dramatic moment, just a quiet, relentless erosion of health over years and years. Here's what I want you to know. You don't have to fix everything at once. You don't have to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. A real walk outside, an honest conversation with someone you actually trust, 1 hour a week doing something that genuinely brings you joy, not what you think you're supposed to enjoy, what actually does it for you. These things are not luxuries. They are not soft. They are medicine, literal biological medicine for your nervous system. When you give your body permission to actually decompress, it knows exactly what to do. It's been waiting for that signal. Number 3, social isolation. And this one sneaks up on men in a way that almost nothing else does. Think back to your 20s. You probably had people around you constantly. Friends, teammates, co-workers you actually liked. A network of relationships that felt effortless. Then your 30s hit. Work got more serious. You got married, maybe. Kids showed up. Life got full and complicated. The friendships started to thin out, one by one, almost without you noticing. And then somewhere in your 50s, you look around and realize your entire social world has shrunk down to maybe 2 or 3 people, sometimes just one, sometimes none. This is not rare. This is the norm for men in this country, and it is quietly killing people. Human beings are wired for connection at a neurological level. There is a biological system in your body called the social engagement system, controlled by the vagus nerve, that literally regulates heart rate, digestion, immune function, and inflammation based on your social environment. When that system detects isolation, when it registers that you are alone and disconnected, it treats it like a physical threat. Your body goes into a state of low-level alarm constantly. The research on this is brutal and clear. Social isolation increases the risk of early death by up to 50%. 50. That is comparable to smoking heavily for years. The difference is there's no warning label on loneliness, no Surgeon General's notice on the door of an empty house. Unlike alcohol or poor diet, isolation leaves no visible mark. There's no lab test for it, no symptom you can point to until the damage has already accumulated over years. But at the biological level, what's happening is measurable. Inflammation goes up, immune function drops, blood pressure climbs, and self-care collapses, because when there's nobody around you, there's less reason to take care of yourself. Here's the good news. Your body responds to connection fast, faster than almost any other intervention. One real phone call, one cup of coffee with someone who actually knows you, one group, one team, one community you belong to. Even small, genuine interactions produce measurable improvements in inflammatory markers and immune response. You do not need 100 friends. You need a few real ones. And you need to protect those relationships like they are keeping you alive, because they are. Number 2, poor sleep. And I want you to understand something before I get into this. Sleep is the number 2 killer on this list, and almost nobody takes it seriously. We treat it like it's optional, like it's something we can trade in for productivity. Here's what the science actually says. Men who sleep fewer than 6 hours a night live on average 7 years less than men who sleep 7 to 8 hours. 7 years. Stolen by a habit that feels completely normal and even kind of disciplined, like you're getting more done. Here's what's actually happening when you consistently cut your sleep short. There is a system in your brain called the glymphatic system, and its only job is to flush out toxic waste products from your brain, neural debris that accumulates during the day. This system only works properly during deep sleep. When you cut sleep, the waste builds up, literally. And that build-up over time is connected to cognitive decline, mood disorders, and a dramatically increased risk of cardiovascular disease. On top of that, after a single night of 5 hours of sleep, your immune function drops by nearly 30%. Your blood vessels stiffen, your heart rate elevates, blood sugar rises, your cortisol, remember that stress hormone from habit 4, spikes. Everything gets worse. And here's the cruel part of this. You adapt. You get used to feeling tired. Tired becomes your baseline, and you stop noticing it. You think you're fine. You tell people you're fine, but underneath, your cardiovascular system is working in overdrive. Your hormones are misfiring. Your body is burning through its reserves to compensate. The good news, recovery is faster than most people expect. 2 or 3 nights of genuine 7 to 8 hours sleep and you'll feel the shift. Blood pressure stabilizes, mental clarity comes back, mood lifts, energy returns to a level you might not have felt in years. Practical things that actually work. Same bedtime every night, weekends included. Your body runs on a biological clock, and inconsistency throws it off completely. Phone and screens off at least an hour before bed. The blue light they emit blocks melatonin production, which is the hormone that tells your brain it's time to sleep. Cool room, dark room, quiet room. No caffeine after early afternoon, because caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours in your bloodstream, meaning half of that 3 o'clock coffee is still in your system at 9. Sleep is not rest. Sleep is repair. It is the single most powerful health intervention available to you, and it costs nothing. And now we're at number 1. And I want you to hold on for this one, because it's going to sound absurdly simple, and that is exactly the problem. Number 1, sitting. Just sitting. Too much of it, too long without breaking it up. I know, it sounds like I'm about to tell you to stand up and do jumping jacks, but hear me out, because this is the most data-backed thing on this entire list, and it is the habit that most men completely dismiss. A 20-year study that tracked over 120,000 people found that men who sit for more than 8 hours a day have a 60% higher risk of dying early. And sedentary behavior, meaning sustained physical inactivity, can shave up to 12 years off your life expectancy. 12 years, more than alcohol, more than stress, more than social isolation, more than bad sleep. Here's what happens physiologically when you sit for extended periods without moving. Your large leg muscles, the biggest muscles in your body, essentially shut down. When those muscles go inactive, circulation slows significantly. Blood starts to pool in your lower extremities. Less oxygen reaches your brain, which causes mental fog and fatigue, and the kind of low-level confusion where you can't quite form a clear thought. Insulin sensitivity drops, which means your body becomes less efficient at processing blood sugar, and the risk of type 2 diabetes goes up. Inflammation rises. Your heart has to work harder to keep circulation going against gravity and reduced muscle pump activity. And here's the key thing that most people miss. It is not the total amount of sitting that does the most damage. It is prolonged, uninterrupted sitting. Sitting for 30 minutes straight without moving triggers a measurable metabolic slowdown. Fat storage speeds up. Muscle tissue starts to break down. Your body interprets stillness as shutdown. The fix is incredibly simple. Every 30 minutes, stand up for 2 minutes. That's it. Walk after meals. Take phone calls on your feet. Use stairs instead of elevators when you can. Park a little further away. These are not dramatic life changes. They are tiny, consistent interruptions to a pattern that is silently taking years from you. This is not about motivation. This is not about willpower. This is physiology. Your body is a biological system that was designed to move, and when it doesn't, it deteriorates. Moving it saves it. Okay. So let's take a step back and look at the full picture. Alcohol takes 2 to 3 years on average, and significantly more if you're a weekend binge drinker. Chronic stress takes 4 or more. Social isolation can cost 5 or more. Poor sleep steals 7 or more. And sitting for too long can take up to 12 years. Now add those up.
Think about how normal every single one of those things in a typical American man's life. Most of us are doing all five, not occasionally, every day, decade after decade. Decades of life lost through habits that feel completely unremarkable, habits that look just like everybody else around you, which is exactly why they're so dangerous. But here's the truth that I want you to carry out of this video. You reclaim it the same way you lost it, one small choice at a time. Nothing dramatic, nothing extreme, just small, consistent shifts repeated long enough that they become who you are. Right now, after you finish watching this, do one thing, just one. Stand up and walk for 2 minutes. Go to bed 30